Hello, welcome back, my people. I'm your Brani as always. Today is Australia. Currently the best short or easiest path to migrate and work in Australia is the DAMA program. The government has allowed employees from the Northern Territory to recruit workers from overseas more easily because those regions are facing a very high and a very serious skill shortages. So this time, their requirements to qualify for this program are very, very low compared to all the other programs that Australia has. And they've intentionally made the Northern DAMA Territory comes with concessions, whereas basically relax the rules so that more people can qualify from overseas. And the age limit is higher, so you can still qualify even if you are 45 years of age. The English language requirement is very, very low compared to all the other visa routes. And even the income threshold for the employers to recruit from overseas have been reduced dramatically. So that means employers don't have to prove as high salary to sponsor from overseas. And what makes the Northern DAMA exceptional is that it includes jobs you won't normally see on the skilled occupation list. This time, if you're a barber, you're a bus driver, you're a beauty tender, you're a beauty therapist, and many, many more. And it makes it much easier for people with everyday experience to qualify and settle in Australia. So roll with me today as I guide you through the step-by-step process and everything you need to know for a successful application. I'm your Brani as always. In this channel, I share valuable information about traveling abroad, upcoming conferences, study and work opportunities, and everything you need to know to build your career international. So let's roll. So now on the Northern Territory government website and under the designated area migration agreement section. So on this page, you find all the relevant links concerning this program. So going through them all one by one. Important update on the Northern DAMA program. This is where you will know the latest rules and opportunities concerning this program. And on this link too, you can find all the full details about the agreement, including how it works and who it applies to. And about the step-by-step guide, this also shows the process for employers so that they can sponsor overseas workers correctly. And with the occupation list too, it shows you all the jobs that is eligible for sponsorship under this program. When it comes to concession available, it also gives you the details on how easier it is for people to qualify even if they don't meet the usual requirements. And about the qualification and experience too, it gives you details on the age and requirements for nominated overseas workers. With this link, you find numerous of jobs listed. This time you see bakery, bartenders, beauty therapists, bookkeepers, bricklayers, barbers, builders. You find all the normal jobs that is not available on the occupation list. We also talk about how business are assessed as being eligible and how to find the Australian worker too. So this also talks about how employers can recruit those who are Australian citizens and also have Australian PR. So about the fees and charges too, it involves fees and charge that is involved in the application process. So for the permanent residency pathway, this also gives you the clear pathway for workers who meet the requirements. One thing I really like about the Northern DAMA is how clear the pathway to permanent residency is. Australia is not really afraid of those who settle in their country and invest in them. So they are willing to give you opportunity to live and settle in Australia. So for example, when it comes to visa class 4A2, you can still work for 4 years and then you move into the permanent residency under the visa class 1A6. And if even you are sponsored on visa class 494, after 3 years of work, you can still transition to the permanent residency with Subclass 192. So after working for more than 3 years or 4 years, they will still make it easy for you to have a permanent stay in Australia. It makes it very beautiful. On the next one, it's about the frequent asked questions. So this section, it answers most of the common questions that will help you understand how the program works. So when you open the important update link, you will notice that there has been a new agreement on the 19th of March between the Northern Territory and the Australian government. This is whereby the Australian government has granted them permission to recruit workers from overseas with this skill set that is being nominated. So that's what we are about to discuss today. The previous agreement, which is the Northern DAMA II, expired in 13th of December 2024. So when it comes to the transition, it also talks about the business who already have agreements that they can keep using them but must apply for the new Northern DAMA III endorsement in case they want more positions or access to the new occupations and concessions. So let's get on to the occupation list. When we open the occupation list, there are numerous kinds of occupations that you'll find here. It's even showing 25 different entries of occupation. So in the occupation, you'll find accounts clerk, you'll find audiologists, you'll find bakers, back operators, you find bartenders, you find bartender supervisors. You go to the next page, you find beauty therapists, the bookkeepers, the bricklayers, the building associate, bus drivers, even butchers. You find chef, you find carpenters, carpenter and joiners. On the next page, you find data analysts, concreters, community workers, childcare workers, civil construction site supervisors. This is where you find all the common jobs. Even if you're a diver, electrical lines worker, electrician, so no matter the skillful job you do back in your country, I'm sure you find it here. So this list normally gives you all the easy occupations, So this time you notice that each occupation has Australian and New Zealand score code. They also have the skill levels, English concession, concessions, age concessions, then the qualification and experience. So this time you go through what all of these headings are all about. So you notice that each occupation has what's called an Australian and New Zealand score code. And this code defines what occupation is and what tasks are included. So for example, if you're a bus driver and you want to know the tasks and requirements needed to meet the standard, you'll have to copy this code, and there's a website that defines the bus driver occupation. So you match up the tasks and experience in your home country. If it lines up, then you are good to go. So to know the tasks and experience that is required from us as a bus driver to be able to qualify for this program, you'll have to open the website and paste the score code of the bus driver that we have copied. So you'll notice that there is a latest release and a previous release. So what you should know is the latest release hasn't been updated. It won't give us details that we need. So this time we'll be using our previous release. When you come to the new search bar, you paste the underscore code in it. So when it opens, this page is giving you the detailed task and qualification that is required of you to work as a bus driver in Australia or New Zealand. So the indicative skill level, most occupations in this unit group has a level of skill commensurate with the qualification and experience outlined. So in Australia, you are required to have an AQF certificate 2 or 3 to be able to drive as a bus driver in Australia. If you are working in New Zealand as a bus driver, you are required to have this certification, NZQF level 2 or 3 qualification. And they said at least 1 year of relevant experience may substitute for the formal qualification listed above. And in some instances, they'll give you with the relevant experience, and they also give you an on-the-job training that is required in addition to the formal qualification. Why? Because they understand driving back in our country, I know you're used to these tasks that you'll be doing in their country. Like coming from a country like Ghana, you are driving from Asafo to Accra. They are not used to stopping at set locations to pick up and set down passengers. They are not used to this stuff. And even controlling lighting, heating, ventilation on buses. For that one, I think it's cool. Advising passengers on destination, you're not used to do all these kind of tasks. So when you come to Australia or New Zealand as a bus driver, they will take you through this process. That's the on-the-job training. They will give you vivid education for you to develop the skills and experience that you need before you start your job as a bus driver. If you're not familiar with these tasks, they ain't really a problem. So if you'll notice that these tasks line up with your experience and the skills that you've already developed in your home country, then you are good to go. So as a bus driver, after knowing our task and qualification, the next thing that we will need to know is our unscore skill level. So the skill level is to show what qualification or experience that you need for a particular job under the Northern DAMA territory. So you can see that the skill level has been categorized from 1 to 5. So this simply means higher skill level usually mean you need formal education like degree or diploma to qualify for that job, whilst the lower skill levels also include jobs that rely more on practical experience. So basically this helps you matches your skills to the right occupation and also determines what type of visa and concession that you might be eligible for. What I really like about this program is whether you are an university graduate or someone with a practical experience in trade, you will still have your way out. The key is to find the right employer that matches your skills to the right job and use the concessions available under the DAMA to your advantage. So to know the skill level that is required of us, if we are applying as a bus driver, you realize that the skill level that we need is level 4. So we open our website and you can see it has been categorized from level 1 to level 5. So the occupation listed on this page have all been assigned in an Australian and New Zealand standard qualification of occupation code and skill level. So the codes and skill levels are used for a range of purposes, including on application for migration to the Northern Territory and Australia. So the jobs with skill level 1, we are required to have a bachelor degree or higher qualification. The jobs with skill level 2, under the unscore, we are required to have an associate degree, advanced diploma or diploma to qualify for this program. The jobs with skill level 3, we are required to have a certificate 3 or certificate 4. The job with skill level 4, we have to have a certificate 2 or certificate 3. The jobs with skill level 5, you are required to have a certificate 1 or compulsory secondary education. So this links also gives you a detailed explanation about the jobs and skill level in case you are not having a clear understanding about what the jobs and skill level means. So this link will give you the detail and more information on that. So you've noticed that if you are applying as a bus driver, we are required to have a certificate 2 or certificate 3 to be able to meet the requirements for this program. So after knowing our skill level, let's get on to our concessions. So for this program, you are required to meet an English language requirement. So each occupation has a specific requirement of your English that you are to meet. So to know more about the English concession on each occupation code, you'll notice that there are some occupations which their English requirement has been assigned as no, and some other occupation which requirement has been assigned as yes. So those with no simply means that you have to meet the regular visa or the normal visa rules. When it says yes, it means the Northern Territory DAMA has realized the requirement so that you can have more flexibility in your application. So to know more about concessions, we open that link. So let's scroll down for an English language concession. So those who have watched my previous videos about migrating to Australia, you will notice that normally you need at least 6.0 IELTS to meet the competent English requirement. But with the DAMA program, they've lowered the scores. Even if you have 4.5 or 4.0 on visa class 482, or even 5.0 or 4.0 in the ENS visa class, you will still qualify for this program. So let's go on and talk about our age concession. So when it comes to the age, the permanent residency usually has cut off at 45. So under the age concession, you know the 5-year skilled employer sponsored regional visa class 494 and the permanent employer nomination scheme 186 visa normally require workers to be under 45 years of age. But under the Northern DAMA, workers nominated for the skilled level 1 for occupation have a higher age limit of under 55 years. And the skill level 5 occupation have an age limit of under 50 years. So this makes it easier for older workers to get sponsored and move to Australia and settle. So about the additional occupation, these are the additional occupations which are in the ANS score. But when you have all these skill sets, you are still eligible for the program. So as you can see, there is still an updated new code for this program. About the core skills income threshold. So the income requirements are another area where DAMA helps. Normally the employer has to show they can pay you at least 76,515 Australian dollars starting July 2025. But with the DAMA, they need to meet at least 85% of that amount, which makes it much easier to get sponsorship for this program. So back to the occupation list table. So let's look at the qualification and experience requirements. So you notice that each occupation is linked with a letter A, B, C to P. And this time each letter has its own definition of what qualifications or the experience that you need. So assuming we want to know the qualification and experience of a bus driver, that is H, we will have to open the website to know the qualification and experience of the occupation with letter H. So do you notice that the qualification and experience has been categorized from type A, type F to type P. So what we are looking for is in type H. So these are the skills and demand requirements for this program if you're coming in as a driver. So you need to hold a relevant qualification equivalent to AK Web Certificate 2 or 1 year of full-time work experience, or hold a relevant qualification equivalent to AK Web Certificate 3 with a relevant post-qualification work experience of at least 1 year, or for occupation not on the ANSCO score code, and for other occupations where ANSCO allows work experience to substitute for qualification, have at least 1 year of relevant full-time or part-time equivalent work experience. This can be determined by searching for the occupation on the ANSCO website. So you can read about all the qualification and experience that you need concerning your application as a bus driver here. So after gathering all the information and all your documents that you need, the next step in mind is how do you apply for the visa. So for this program, you need to look for an employer first who lives in the Northern Territory. And the process happens in 3 stages. The first stage is the sponsorship. So the employer applies for an agreement and approval, including the labor market testing. And once the employer is being approved, he will nominate you, and after the nomination, the employer will help you to apply for the visa. So this time, you're not applying for the visa before you get employed. You have to first of all get employment first before you apply for the visa. How do you find an employer? So to make things easier for you, you can find employers through the official and Northern Territory government website instead of jobseeky.com. So you open this link and you see Workers Connect platform. You open the link and you'll notice that this is for job seekers. You can create your SCV here, or you search for a job. This is also for employers to post their job here or create a profile. There are many industry job search here about education and training, community, science and engineering, hospitality and tourism, health and well-being, agriculture and environment. And these are also for employers profile, industry partner profile, work and live in our regions, resource centers for employers for those who are seeking for job, and those skilled visa information. So you have all the information relating to your job search. Another option to search for a job is to contact the recruitment agency. So open their link and you see numerous of endorsed recruitment agencies here with their emails and their phone numbers. So we have Adecco, we have All Aspect Recruitment and HR Services, we have AWS, we have Celoty Workforce, we have care staff, we have frontline recruitment group, hey specialist recruitment. So this time you can reach out and send your CV directly to them, because these agencies work with the employers who need overseas workers. So this is a good part too. Another option to search for a job is to visit Career One, Indeed, Jora, Azuna, or the Australian Job Search. And others are also used for, but start with official Northern Territory platform. So once you secure an employer, it is best to work with a registered migration agent to handle the paperwork on your behalf, to process them correctly for you. So if you're serious about moving to Australia, the key is to find the right employer, match your skills to the available jobs, and use the concession to your advantage. So I'll keep bringing you more tips and guides like this. So you make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on migration to Australia the smart way. And also I'll be in the comment section to attend to all your questions relating to this video. So I'm your Brani as always. Thanks for watching. Macro.